What's going on, everybody? My name is Colton and welcome back to another movie ranking video. In today's video, we're looking back at the month that was July 2025, where I got to see 7 new releases in theaters for the month. As always, a couple of these might be from the month prior, technically, like on the release date. I always just do it for whatever month I'm actually seeing the movie in. And real quick, before we jump into these 7, I didn't make a video for the months of May or June, so really quickly, I want to say what I saw and what the month winners were. In May, I saw 5 films: Lilo and Stitch, Until Dawn, The Amateur, The Accountant 2, and Sinners. Sinners was the month winner. It was a fantastic film, directed by Ryan Coogler. Michael B. Jordan did amazing in it. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen that one. And then in June, it was a light month. I only saw 4: The Phoenician Scheme, Materialist, Elio, and Final Destination Bloodlines. It was a very average month. Final Destination Bloodlines ended up taking the cake for that month. But without further ado, let's jump into this month, July 2025. It was a really good month for movies. I really liked almost everything I saw. Number 7, which we're about to get into, is the only movie on this list that I was generally negative on. Everything else I was mostly positive to fully positive.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And we start with that number 7 entry, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I gave it just a 2 out of 5 stars. And this was a film that, it didn't really interest me too much. Like, it didn't really mean that much to me because I hadn't seen the originals. I went to check it out. It is obviously a slasher. It's in the slasher genre. I thought it would honestly benefit me by not seeing the old ones because I have no attachment to the legacy characters that were in it. I had no, preconceived feelings about where it was going to, where I wanted to see it go. I was completely neutral, went into it, and I gotta say, it was just incredibly blah. The characters are as cliche as ever. There's just no good dialogue. It's all very corny and very, just get the plot along, one thing to the next. A lot of dumb decisions, which, again, typical in horror movies in general, but just really overdone in this one. Some things really, if I watch this back, I know so many things, wouldn't really make sense. Why did they decide to do that? Or, how did that get here? Wouldn't they have known this the whole time? It was one of those, whodunit movies that if you watch back, I don't think it was well sewn together. The aesthetic of the Fisherman Killer in general is cool. I think it's a decent design. It's not, overly intimidating, but I thought at least the kills would be interesting and, those type of elements would be there. But really, it just was lackluster in almost every department. So, unfortunately, I Know What You Did Last Summer comes in last place by a pretty substantial margin. Megan! Moving along, in 6th place, we have Megan 2, which I gave 3.5 stars. It was a pretty surprising movie, to be honest. I had seen the original pretty recently, and I thought the original was pretty good, but this type of franchise sequel, I was never going to be, never going to have my expectations through the roof, and yet, I think it was really, really close to the original. I think I might even prefer this one a tad. It's neck and neck for me, which is really rare for a franchise like this, which felt like it was just going to be a one-off, one movie, Megan done, but no, they come back for a 2.0 version, and it hits. It definitely hits. First 15 minutes, I'll admit, I was a little skeptical. I was like, where are they going to go with this? What is the tonal shift? But it obviously does play into comedy a lot more. We see Megan in a completely different role than we saw in the first film. If you like the more horror comedy, which typically hand up, I don't, but this movie I think executes it pretty well, and it really shifts into the more, less horror, more comedy, so it's not trying to find that perfect even balance. It really does delve into the more just a little exciting adventure. I think if you like the character of Megan, I think she was pretty funny in the original. I think she's even funnier here, and she gets way more fleshed out. We get to see a little more of the dynamics between her and the main characters, and I just think it was a well-rounded movie. I can't believe I'm saying it, because I wasn't expecting this to be a 3.5 star movie for me, but it really ended up delivering. I guess I just wasn't expecting to audibly laugh as many times as I did from a Megan 2 movie, and yet I found myself having a really good time with this one. So I think it comes in 6th, but I think that just speaks to how good the other 5 movies in this month were. Coming in 5th place is 28 Years Later, which I gave 4 stars to. I thought, again, everything from here on up is pretty damn solid. I was not super aware of this franchise. I watched the first 2 just in anticipation for this new one. The first one, I understand, is a stylistic choice to make it look so grainy, and kind of the quality being so low really kind of threw me off, but I know that was the intent behind it. I didn't love it. I thought it was decent, and then the second one I thought was really shaky and had a lot of plot holes. But the trailer for this one looked like an absolute banger, so I did get excited for 28 Years Later. Again, it's the reason why I went back and watched the first 2. And I have to say, for the most part, I thought this movie really delivered. I know this is the start of another like trilogy of movies. I know there's going to be more. I know the next one comes out in January, and I am pretty excited to see where this world takes us. Now, I will say the first two movies you don't really need to see them in order to enjoy this one. There's not a whole lot of connective tissue there. It's the same virus and the same dealing with similar things, but also the virus has evolved and they don't even really reference any of those characters or anything like that. So you can probably go into this one without knowing anything about the first two and be completely fine. I think Alfie Williams is the standout here. He did a great job as Spike, the main protagonist. I think it's very well acted. I think the setting is cool. We're obviously still in the UK at this point, where we're kind of seeing how the virus, after all these years, has shaped life here, and kind of how we even get to see some of the outside world contact, and how the whole of the United Kingdom here is so sheltered, and how it's completely like a completely different world. I think it's cool what they do with the virus, and cool with some of the evolutions and different things we get to see in this one. However, I do kind of wish we had a little bit more in that department, explaining how we got here, using the first two movies as kind of a catapult. It didn't really do that. It kind of loosely touches on things, but we really get thrown into a lot of new elements, which was fun. I just wish there was a little bit more detail provided in terms of the journey. We're going from 28 days to 28 weeks to 28 years, and there's a lot that, that whole chunk there in the middle is kind of missing. And it kind of is a trend with this franchise. I don't think they're ever really explicit with explaining how things work. It's kind of just in the action. You're in with these characters trying to survive this world, and that's that. I think my favorite part, honestly, of this movie is some of the genuine emotional moments between Spike and his mom, and just some of the really, really heartbreaking scenes when you really think about it. And they've survived all this way, and yet still the amount of death that is shown, it is a dark, kind of depressing movie, yet it does find a way to be gentle and touching in these moments, and I think I really enjoyed it. I think Alfie Williams did a hell of a job really getting that emotion across. My biggest knock on this thing is the last few minutes of the movie, which were such a tonal 180. Like, it made really no sense to me. Again, what I just said, 28 years later is a kind of dark, sad world. Like, that's the tone of this franchise, and it's meant to be like that. It's a zombie-filled world of death, and then all of a sudden at the end it takes this crazy sharp turn to this weird, goofy, like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's just an out-of-nowhere turn that leaves kind of a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I kind of left the theater like, wow, that was a really cool movie. I'm really interested to see where they go from here, but if that's an indicator of where we're going, I might not want to be around for that journey, because I don't know if that's going to be where I want to see this thing go. I'm going to cut it some slack. It still was a good movie for most of its runtime. Kept me engaged. It was pretty thrilling, so I will give it a 4-star and leave it at number 5.
Vroom, vroom.
Number 4 is F1, which I gave a 4 stars to as well. This also came out, I think, late June, but I didn't get actually a chance to see it till late July, and I'm glad I did. It kind of takes this tried and true character dynamic of the aging veteran mentoring like that young rookie who is up and coming. And as an avid sports fan, I never really got into racing, so I was a little, skeptical on. It's a pretty long movie. It's like 2 hours and 35 minutes, and I was like, am I going to be really hooked in this world where like I don't have a pre-existing interest in racing? But I'll be damned, it was very entertaining, and I think it does a great job kind of explaining some of the nuances of F1 to those that are unfamiliar without being too, exposition heavy. I think it just kind of naturally gives you insight to how it works as the movie goes and as we reach these events. The racing is phenomenal in terms of how it's captured. You really feel the intensity in the car, outside the car, all the people working together. You really see as a team. It's like a team sport. It's not just a racer. There's so much going on, and it's really palpable how much you can feel like the emotion, I guess for lack of a better term, just how intense it really is. I do kind of wish we get a little more, for such a long movie, I kind of wish we got a little more character development. We spend a lot of time with the two main characters, and I kind of wish there was a little more there in certain regards without spoiling things. I will say I think a lot of sports movies fall into this cliche of kind of giving the first couple games or events or whatever it may be, and then kind of montaging through a lot of the middle to get to the ending events where we see a lot of the more important things take place. I think this movie does a good job slowing down that middle. And I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because I just said it was really long, and that was kind of annoying because I wanted character development, but I do like the fact they don't just like montage every race together in the middle to get us to the end. It really does kind of take its time, showcases a lot of the races in between, and you really get to, really makes you feel the story more because you're not just like skipping ahead, skipping all those beats. Like we're actually seeing the process, which I think was really fun. So I would definitely recommend checking this one out, even if you're not into racing, because I think it offers so much more than that. While it is a little bit lacking, in my opinion, for a couple of those beats in terms of the character development, I do think it was worthwhile, and I do think where you are in the end is satisfying, and it was a fun journey. Brings us to number 3, which is Superman, which I gave 4 stars to as well. I will preface this with saying I'm not nearly familiar with DC lore compared to Marvel. I am much more of a Marvel guy growing up. I do like certain DC projects, but this as the start of a new DC universe made me very excited. I like the fresh slate. I like this is the entry point to this new world, and I was very excited for this movie. And I think all in all, for the most part, it delivered. I think it looks pretty good visually. I think this iteration of Superman is pretty cool. I think the Lois Lane we get is great. I do have a few concerns with some of the Justice Gang people there with Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl. They were cool, they were funny, but it kind of zeroes in on Mr. Terrific. The other ones kind of take a back seat, and they just felt a little, like, I'm just wondering, we have the Marvel framework in mind when we think of these types of universes, and I'm just a little intrigued to see how everybody gets incorporated. They're already thrown into this movie. They kind of take a back seat for a lot of it. I don't know. I guess it's the original. It's the first. It's just like Iron Man. It's the first movie in this franchise now, so I'm not going to overly criticize it too much. I think it was a very entertaining story. Lex Luthor. Some of the dialogue towards the end was a little, I don't want to say outright corny, but a little bit forced almost, but not entirely. Like, it is a Superman film. I like the vibe they're going for. Pacing is actually pretty decent. I like a lot of the middle chunks where, he's in like the pocket universe, seeing some of his emotional struggles and like some of his weaknesses coming to light. I like how they paced it. So I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how Batman and other characters fit into this universe. But for now, as a standalone movie, I think Superman was pretty solid. And if you like comic book movies, I don't see how you don't enjoy this one. Number 2, we have How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action version, of course. I gave another 4 stars to. This thing, I think, was destined to be on the receiving end of some criticism. Whenever you take I'm not a huge live-action remake guy myself. I think a lot of them have failed. If you watch my April movie rankings, the Snow White one was pretty rough. I think inherently people love the original for a reason, but this is by far, in my experience, the best one. Like, I thought the casting was pretty great. I know even that, had some people upset, but I thought, like, Hiccup, for example, was perfectly cast. They perfectly captured his personality, everything that made the original so great in terms of characters, I really felt here. I think Toothless looks so cool. I think of all live action remakes, this is the coolest one to do too, because you got the dragons, you have this very like the Viking world here, like it's satisfying to see with real people in live action format. So I am pretty much all positive on this thing. I still would put the original just slightly ahead of it because it was such a banger, but I really don't think this is a big step down. I think if you want to see what this world would look like in a real life setting, this is definitely a movie for you, because I think it does a great job of translating that story. They don't really change much either. It's pretty one-to-one translated. They don't take a lot of liberties in getting away from the source material. So if you're expecting a completely different movie, you're not going to get that. But if you're a How to Train Your Dragon fan, I think you will like this. Keep an open mind. I know whenever you get like an original remade into something different, it's hard for people that are such diehard fans of the original, but I really love the animated version, and I think this thing does it justice. But coming in at number 1 this month, the Fantastic Four First Steps, which I gave 4.5 stars to. And wow, so I had some concerns with this movie too, I won't lie. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, not that I could never see it. And Pedro Pascal's been in so much. I've seen him as all these different characters. He's a great actor, but he has like similar vibes in a lot of them. Like, how will this translate to a Marvel universe? And I think he did a hell of a job. I think it was perfect in terms of how he acted as Reed Richards. My favorite thing about this movie is the aesthetics. It looks so cool. Everything pops off the screen. The flying cars and all the new age things mixed with some of the old fashioned styles. Like, it blends so perfectly. The colors, it's vibrant, it's vivid. Silver Surfer looks pretty cool. Galactus, well, I'm back and forth on Galactus as a villain. Like, I didn't really know a lot about him. I think he does look pretty cool in this. He is pretty intimidating, and I think it's especially for standalone Marvel films. If we think about Marvel as a catalog of movies, the strongest villains are always the Avengers ones, and, the Thanos is the Ultron. Like, for a standalone project, I thought this was a pretty great villain, and I just love the dynamic between the four of them. You really buy into them as a tight little family. Their relationship, I immediately felt was close. There are a few moments in here, without getting into specifics, that I kind of questioned the character decision making. Some of the things I was like, why did they? I don't think they should have done that. Why would they do that? But it's believable enough, and knowing them who they are as people, you kind of see why they decide to do certain things, and by the end of it, I fully bought into everything that was going on. I think this is a great step in the right direction for Marvel as we, head towards Doomsday and Secret Wars and Spider-Man, all these future projects. I know Marvel went into a bit of a lull, but I think this really is taking Marvel back to that scale and has potential to really set up Doomsday in a good, building excitement type of way. At least that's where I am right now with Marvel. After this movie, I am fully back on board. Like, I am ready for the next few films. I think these characters, being able to interact with some of our favorites, it's going to make for some pretty great dynamics. So there you have it to review. I Know What You Did Last Summer came in dead last. The only movie I was truly negative on this month. Megan 2.0, very funny, underrated. Number 5, 28 years later. Some mixed feelings about the ending, but overall, very captivating film. Number 4, another kind of surprise for me, wasn't a huge racing fan, but F1 did a phenomenal job getting me hooked. Number 3, the start of a new universe, Superman, very exciting, clean slate, looking forward to how that universe develops, and this movie does a great job kickstarting it. Number 2, a dangerous one for a lot of people, a live-action remake, but this one actually succeeds. I really believe that. Really liked it. How to Train Your Dragon. Go check that one out if you haven't. And then number 1, the Fantastic Four First Steps. Who would have thought Marvel back to number 1 with a truly great new family to insert into the Marvel Universe. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Tell me what movies you saw in July. I would love to see your list. I'm always very fascinated with other people's opinions when it comes to movies. So let me know, and I will see you all very soon. See ya.